Like, what are your thoughts after a pretty tough series against the White Sox? How are you resetting as a team coming into this one?
Yeah, just reframing that focus on what we need to accomplish out on the field, the energy, the effort, how we go about it. The pitching has been so good for us all year, and it's tough getting down 3-4 in the first, but we need to find a way to continue to compete through that and find a way to pick up the pitchers, because they've done a good job of picking us up all year long, and then having Paul out there tonight is a big first step for that. Against a tough team, but I know Paul's up to the task.
Speaking of that tough team, I mean, this is the first team to 60 wins in Major League Baseball. They got that last night. They're coming in. They had their ace on the mound. What are you most looking forward to about a challenge like that and having that team be the team that you guys can reset with?
Yeah, when we look back to the homestand before against the Mets and the Cardinals, two good teams that we played really well against. Last series was not a good series. We need to put that behind us and find a way against the Tigers tonight, and find a way to go out there and can compete well and win a ball game.
Does Paul have any sort of advantage having seen some of their guys?
I'm sure he does. I mean, he's such a competitor, and he finds a way to adjust and adapt through things. So I'm sure there was something that he learned through that outing that is going to serve him well tonight.
On the note of Paul, his last couple of starts, he's been limited volume. That's not going to be the entirety of the second half for him, right? You guys are going to let him go sometimes.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, it won't be the entirety of the second half.
How do you go about determining those days?
Conversation with a lot more people than just myself. Just finding ways to manage the innings, like we talked about before. He's the top of the league in innings, and last year threw 160 on the year, 133 I think it was in the big league. So just finding ways to manage that so that he can fulfill the full season through the end of September, but also keep it manageable that we're not completely blowing it out.
Last year there were only 4 guys that eclipsed 200 innings. Right now there are 8 guys on pace to do that. Do you think that'd be advantageous to have him be one of those 8?
I think so, right around there.
Yeah.
I think if we could get to that point, I think we're in a good spot.
I would say going up 30 to 40 innings a year is probably like the sweet spot, isn't it? I mean, is there a certain number of innings you don't want to go beyond? Like from the previous year, you said 160, so you wouldn't want to go more than 50, 60
Yeah,
innings.
I think that you start getting up into that territory, 50, 60 innings, you're at in 33% to close to it, 30% to what he was throwing last year. And that's probably getting a little too high, but just continuing to build, see how he's doing, and having the break. I know he did a heck of a job in the All-Star game throwing that 1 inning, but he's looking forward to him being out there and fresh tonight.
Tony, I can't imagine it. Is it super proprietary? I mean, like the findings of such a hockey stick spike in innings workload. What is like the then risk that you put the pitcher, not just Skenes, but anybody else, if you are to jump them so significantly? And I don't know if it's such in-house secret stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody does it.
Well,
right?
and I wish that I had the perfect answer. I don't think anybody has a perfect answer. Just trying to make sure that we're taking everything into account and collaborating with even people that know a lot more than I do about all of this stuff, and taking everybody's thoughts into consideration, and finding what we feel is the best way to go with Paul and everybody too. I mean, when you look at Burroughs coming off of being injured and 2 years ago coming back, and now how do we manage his workload too as far as his innings, and it's not just isolated to Paul. It's there's conversations around all of our pitchers, especially the young guys.
Henry Davis has caught the majority of Paul's starts since he came up. What is it about their working relationship, and how much of a challenge is that for Henry to given that Paul has a 7-pitch repertoire and can go in a lot of different directions to try to make sure he's calling the right pitch?
Yeah, he can. Their relationship is great, and Henry has done a nice job with it, and finding it's not only just the pitches, but when you talk about the stuff with it, he's done a really good job of being able to manage all of it with the way Paul has things. They can go anywhere up to 100 miles an hour, but then he throws a splinter, the sweeper. There's just so many things, and they're typically on the same page as far as the game plan and during the game how the game calling goes.
Paul entered this season with high expectations for himself, but also heightened expectations for the team, as did the group as a whole. It hasn't really turned out that way. He gets a lot of attention. How have you seen him sort of handle? He hasn't really been in a position where a team has maybe struggled this much in the win-loss column, and obviously people look to him as sort of a bellwether, whether that's fair or not for a guy that's 23. But how have you seen him handle that from a from a emotional maturity standpoint.
Yeah, he's way older than 23 years old. Everything that he does, the way he goes about it, the way he's able to handle, we've talked about sometimes the lack of run support with him and Mitch. They really haven't changed when they go out there. They continue to pitch. Paul has done that, and for a 23-year-old to have, he's wise beyond his years, and the way the maturity level that he shows when he's out there is really, I don't remember seeing anybody in my time. Now, we could talk to Lamont, who's been around a lot longer than I have to see, but before we talked about, I had the opportunity to play with Verlander and Scherzer, and they were great pitchers at a young age. Paul has the ability to pitch earlier than they did. It was learned for them. They threw hard and could blow guys away, which Paul can do. He has shown the ability to adapt, I feel, at an earlier age than even those guys did.
Who's the leader of your pitching group that everybody flocks to from a player perspective?
I would Mitch and Paul are the two guys. I mean, when you add in Heaney as a veteran guy with 10 years coming in, and then when you look at the bullpen, I think it's a little, with Bednar out there, he would be the guy here. Santana is highly respected too, but Mitch has been here so long, and then Paul, and that's the other thing. Paul is a leader. It's hard to expect him in his first full major league season. It's nice to have a guy like Mitch that can help take that on too, and then you add in Heaney and being able to help Paul as well, because it's hard to expect a guy that is in his first full season to completely lead everything, and I think sometimes when you talk about expectations with him, I think it's a little unfair at times that we expect so much of him. We see the stuff, we see the way he goes about it, and he handles it unbelievably well.
Johan Oviedo was just, go for it. I know it was just 1 year, but I know you got your coaching start under AJ Houston that season. What did you learn from under him as a first-year coach?
Communication. He's an elite communicator. The way that he goes about it every single day, how he talks to players, staff, very detail-oriented in everything he does, and finding ways to communicate, I think, was something that he was really good at, that I learned a lot from.
Don, what can you say about a guy like Isaac Mattson, who's kind of submerged as a big part of this bullpen? What can you say about him as obviously a player, but as a person, and what he's had to go through to get to this point?
Oh, he's top notch. I mean, the stuff that his journey to get here and how well he's done since he's been here, and just the way that he carries himself too, and finding ways to get better. Can't say enough good things about Isaac as a person and as a pitcher.
What's the nature of Oviedo just joining you guys up here just a couple days following his outing with the Curve?
Yeah, so they're off today, and it was a good opportunity for him to come throw a side, be around the guys, get some touch points with Oscar Stromby and the pitching group, and throw a side here. Altoona not being on today, so it's good to have him around and to see the success. He's doing good. He's outing 53 pitches, 3 1/3 last time, and did really well and is feeling good. So just here to throw a side and get some touch points with the staff.
You do envision him as a starting pitcher still, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. Now, how does it all? I can't sit here and say when he gets back up here, it's 100% going to be a starter. We want to get him to get to that point and be healthy and be ready to rejoin the group. I know at the beginning, before he pulled the lat, we were maybe looking at having him in the bullpen as a bulk guy and then transitioning, but I think long term, definitely see him as a starter.
I mean, as you look at the checkpoints for him going forward, is it strictly just workload, or is performance an aspect of that, of knowing when he's ready to be back here?
Yeah, I think a combination of both. I mean, just him being healthy and going out and showing the stuff and continuing to get back out there. I mean, he missed all of last season, and then the first 4 months of this. Now he's ramping back up, getting the juices going again, and finding ways to get out there. I mean, he's such an elite competitor, so intense, and just want to make sure that he's healthy and going out there and throwing the ball well.
Don, after spending some time in the Tigers organization, what's it like now to manage this game from the Pirates dugout?
Yeah, it's when we went back to Detroit, it's like a second home for us, and outside of the 6 games that we play against them, always pulling for the Tigers, but definitely want to beat them these 3.
Thanks, Johan.